Slurpty-derp. Yes, 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 my G's. Hope you're all doing well. As you can see today, we've got a few new additions to the studio. We've got a sock on the microphone. That's very important because my microphone pop shield snapped off. Cheap microphone pop shields. Who needs them? Anyway, I've got a bit of a suit on for you guys today as well, just to show some effort. You know, it's like I've got to put the work in, not only with the sound design but also with the appearance. Very important. Don't tell anyone, though, that I've actually got tracksuit bottoms on underneath here. It's the same on my Zoom sessions as well. I always dress up nice and smart. The top half, but the bottom half, you know, who knows what's going on down there. Might be an old pair of boxer shorts with a load of holes in. You know, that one pair that you've had for like 17 years, that you've been through so much together, but you still won't throw it away. We all have that story, don't we? Anyway, let's get into today's video. Today is going to be a really simple follow along sound design video to make a really sick pitch down wobble sine wave bass, which is something that you can use in like a lot of tracks and it'll always kind of fit, and you can, you know, give it a real priority and like boost it a lot and process it a lot, or you could have it as something in the background to like fill in some of the gaps in your track. So very, very usable bass, and looking forward to showing how easy it is to make with a cool couple of features in phase plant. Phase plant it's called. All right. And yeah, let's have a little listen to this little loop I've generated. And this secondary bass here is the bass we're going to recreate today. There's another couple of sounds I've just thrown in just for fun. So let's go.
The parables of phase plant.
So we are, of course, going to be making this bass here. And we'll take off all the post-processing, and we'll start off with the voicing, then we'll go into the effects and then the processing. And it's going to be a nice 3-course meal. So let's get into it.
Listen.
So as we start off with the voicing, it's really important to like move on to the effects quite quickly in this particular bass, because a lot of the sound is sort of going to come from the distortion, and a lot of the movement is going to come from the ring mod. So we got these two guys over here, the distortion and the ring mod, that are going to do a lot to the sound. So we've got to bear that in mind as we're adding in our oscillators here. But I'll start off with a little bit of noise, just at 2%, to give that like sort of digital signal feeling to the bass. And then we're going to add in our first sine wave here, which is going to be, this one's going to be -14 and a little bit, and this is another sine wave here is going to be at -12 and a little bit. So they're going to detune off from each other. Okay, you know, if I had them both at sort of 12, you know, we're not going to have that fast detune wobble. So one of them is 2 sort of semitones down from the root note. And what I've done is I've tracked the exact pitch of this one to a couple of macros, so I can have a few different versions of the same patch if I want to like bounce it out in separate kind of speeds. So anyway, this is the main speed here that I've gone for though. So just find something that sort of works nicely in your track. And if I just loop this section here with like the drums. So it's already got a bit of a rhythm that kind of fits with the drums at this particular speed. Then next up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in another sub bass underneath. So this is at -24. And this one's going to be sent straight out to the master. So basically, what we're going to do is when we affect all of the, when we affect the bass now, we're going to be affecting just our kind of wobble sine waves here. But we're going to have this nice fat juicy sub bass underneath it all that's going to like just not be affected by anything. So yeah, one more thing to note then, which you probably saw I just switched off, was the global unison. And I don't think this is tracked or anything. No, this is just a little bit of a little bit of extra width, and it's on the frequency stack mode and the range is turned down, and we just turned up the spread and blended it in 50-50. So next up then, let's move over to the effects where it starts to get a lot more interesting.
Effects.
So like I said, we're going to be just affecting the main 2 sine waves here. And the first thing I've done is reverb them out quite a lot. And I've gone for the convolver, so nice convolution reverb. The eerie loading dock, I like this one a lot. I've turned up the brightness a bit, and the mix is up really high, so we're really, really reverbing the signal. But you know that sub bass underneath is going past this, so that's not getting reverbed, just these two guys here are. Then I've got a distortion, and this does a hell of a lot, so let's listen. And again, I've got it on the sine mode, and then once that's on, I've turned the bias all the way to the left, because the tone is very, very different. But here it kind of rings a nice sort of frequency with the sine waves, so they sort of become a bit more powerful together. The spread allows me to get a bit of a width in here as well. And then, yeah, nice amount of drive, and left the kind of dynamics and the mix up how they normally are. But you can see, you know, it really brings out like the low growly aspect from the sine waves here. And I must also mention, there's a little bit of like phase sort of FM going on between the sine waves, but it's really, really a small amount, and I don't think it's doing that much at all, really. It's basically just two sine waves still. Anyway, that distortion, you know, really brings out the character. And next up, we're going to start to add in that pitching down movement. And that simply just comes from the ring mod. So obviously you could potentially pitch things down on the semitones of the actual sine waves, but doing it here with the ring mod as one of the movements, and the sine waves just naturally detuning of each other, essentially we have like two main movements going on. So in a way, the combination of these movements are what create the specific character of this bass. So I like using this ring mod as like a next level kind of detuning effect, you know. So you could do a bit of detuning first in the oscillator section, and then you can use the ring mod to like go in again and do like another layer of detuning almost. So I really like that. And what I've done is simply put like a ramp down on the frequency amount. So you set it to a nice sort of speed that you think is like a bit slow. Then you put your ramp up frequency, your ramp up, what's it called? Parameter modulation source. What's your favorite sauce? Comment down below. Comment down below what your favorite sauce is to have with a burger. I might have a burger tonight, actually. I have not had one for a while. Do you like burger sauce or ketchup or mayonnaise or chili, sweet chili sauce, sweet chili mayo? That's a good combination for me. I think sweet chili sauce with a bit of mayo. That would be a killer burger, in my opinion. Anyway, so this modulation sauce, not the burger sauce, goes on the frequency, and that turns up. So it starts up high, and that's when it's a bit faster. So it's going to go from fast to slow as it comes down the ramp. And again, like as I'm designing sounds at the moment with Phase Plant, I'm doing a lot of things now sort of off the grid with the like speeds. And I kind of didn't really do this much in Vital, but I think I probably should have. And yeah, doing it more by ear, because yeah, you get to like, yeah, get better at timing things yourself. And also it'll always sound a little bit more human if it's like slightly off. So yeah, got that, like, if we listen like with the rest of the drums and everything, you know, I kind of hear I kind of hear how it's sort of syncing up in the rhythm with the drums. And, you know, so I've adjusted it. So I've found that it was like, you know, at the right kind of, ramp down speed overall, you know what I mean? So yeah, it kind of fits in for me there. And so then one last little effect is not really much. It's just a slice EQ. And again, it's probably messing me around. And it's just, I wanted to just like low cut the sides, but I'm going to do this anyway in the post-processing, so it's not super important. So let's move over to the post-processing.
Processing.
So as you can see, I've got a little kind of arrangement of sounds here. There's like this little bass that I made from previous video, the train bass, Neurofunk Monk train bass that I made. Basically, all I did was like make a new version of it without the kind of train sound. So it's just like this kind of monk chanting / Neurofunk race, which is pretty cool. Then there's like a little bit of white noise and a little bit of a longer one here. And then I've got this other kind of stab that I've made in phase plant as well. It's like a bass stab. And yeah, the bass stab is going to play at the same point as this bass here. And so you might be thinking, 2 basses at once. I had a student recently who was trying to layer up like 3 or 4 basses at once. And I really had to go in and be like, naughty, this is not acceptable. We must have 1 bass at a time. Especially like what's filling up the main low end and the main like mid range. You should really prioritize 1 bass over another. So in this case where I've got 2, in my post-processing, I'm just going to sidechain a little bit using the F6 because it's dynamic sidechain, so I can just duck out some of the low end. So I'm going to be taking out some of the low end on this spiraling down pitch wobble bass just when this stab hits. So we're sidechaining from the stab. So let's look at that in just a moment. But there's a couple of effects that I've got. Oh, by the way, there's like some atmosphere. It's not me going to the toilet. It's some kind of river or something. Yeah. Anyway, so with the post-processing, I wanted to get this pitch wobble bass to stick out a bit more in the mix. So I needed a bit more like kind of presence on it. So just a bit of air with the fresh air, nice and free. I'm trying to use free plugins for you guys so you can copy them. And a bit of ruiner, so just a bit blending up a bit of overdrive and saturation. Just a slight bit of distorted signal into the sound. Then here, like I said before, the mid-side EQing, taking out the sides and my low end. Just because it's so detuned and stereoed, like if I left that in, you can see it's like a whole sub bass of the stereoed, we don't want that. Just taking out a bit. Because I don't want to lose too much of the character of that width in the low end, around sort of 100 to 200. I want to keep it in there. Okay, and then next up, I got my LFO tool, which is just a little kind of sidechain to the kick. But what we really wanted to look at was the F6. And so with the F6, it's cool. You can do like a shelf. So with my bass stab here, every time that bass stabs, on this number 1, it's the sidechain is selected up here. I've got the external set on, and then the attack's all the way down, release is kind of halfway up, then the threshold and the range are sort of turned down. So every time that hits, I'm going to take a nice chunk of all the sub bass and a bit of the mid range out. So it's going to be sort of, you're able to sort of separate them in the mix that way. So putting it all together, then we have our final kind of little loop here. Now this is quite a long, sort of overly extroverted pitch down wobble bass, but you could use it like a really small amount of it. If you used it just like a little one shot or something, it's still like got this nice wobble and this nice pitch down, so you can slot that little bass anywhere into your track, and it will usually work in most cases. So yeah, nice little creative bass line for you guys today. Not too difficult to follow, I don't think. I'll probably put this one on my upcoming preset pack, which will be out probably this Saturday. So yeah, looking forward to sharing that with you guys. And yeah, peace out, much love. Don't do anything I wouldn't. Ciao for now. Say hi to your nan. Say hi to your lizard. And comment down below, what's the best burger sauce? Let's go.
Too great.